Every year, millions of people search for the perfect island getaway. But what if I told you I spent weeks researching the world's most terrifying abandoned islands? And what I found will haunt your dreams. Today, I'm showing you 12 islands you should never visit. And trust me, after you hear these stories, you won't believe they exist. From nuclear wastelands to snake-infested death traps, these places prove that paradise can quickly turn into your worst nightmare. But before we dive into this terrifying tour, smash that like button if you love discovering crazy facts, and subscribe because we're exploring the 12 islands that humans fled from, and you'll understand why they never came back. First stop. Brazil's Ilha de Queimada Grande, aka Snake Island. Here's a fun fact that'll make your skin crawl. This island is home to 4,000 golden lancehead vipers, and they're so venomous that their bite can literally melt human flesh. Check out this amazing fact. There's approximately 1 deadly snake per square meter. The Brazilian government has banned all visitors because in the 1920s, an entire lighthouse keeper family was found dead, their bodies riddled with snake bites. Think that's terrifying? Oh, we're just getting warmed up. Next stop is Bikini Atoll in the Marshall Islands. You might be surprised to learn that this tropical paradise has one of the darkest secrets in human history. Between 1946 and 1958, the US government detonated over 20 nuclear bombs here, including the most powerful nuke in American history. Here's an interesting fact for you. The radiation was so intense that when 200 residents tried to return in 1970, they got sick within months and had to evacuate again. Today, 70 years later, it's still too radioactive for humans. This island literally glows with the ghost of atomic destruction. Third stop, from nuclear wastelands to medieval horrors. Meet Poveglia, Italy, the most haunted island on Earth. Did you know that during the Black Plague, this tiny island became Europa's dumping ground for over 100,000 corpses? Here's a disturbing fact. The soil is literally 50% human ash from centuries of burning plague victims. But the horror doesn't end there. In 1922, they built a mental asylum here, and legend says a doctor went completely insane, tortured patients, and jumped to his death from the bell tower. Even today, locals refuse to set foot on this cursed land. I know this is getting heavy, but trust me, the next stories will blow your mind for completely different reasons. Our fourth island. Meet Okunoshima, Japan, Rabbit Island. You might be surprised to learn that this adorable bunny paradise has a sinister past. From 1929 to 1945, this was a top-secret chemical weapons factory. Check out this amazing fact. The Japanese military literally erased this island from all official maps to hide their illegal poison gas production. But after World War II, test rabbits were released, and now thousands of fluffy bunnies have taken over the entire island. Fifth stop. If you love James Bond movie, you will know this next stop. Hashima Island in Japan went from boom to ghost town in just decades. This also known as Battleship Island, this concrete jungle once housed 5,000 coal miners on just 16 acres, making it the most densely populated place on Earth. When the coal ran out in the 1970s, everyone left overnight, leaving behind a perfectly preserved time capsule of Japan's industrial boom. Today, it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and one of the most photographed ruins in the world. The next stop is a devastating story that will break your heart. King Island in Alaska was home to the Inupiat people for centuries. Did you know that in the 1950s, the US government forcibly shut down their school and relocated all the children to mainland Alaska? Here's what's truly heartbreaking. The elders, unable to sustain their community without the young generation, were forced to abandon their ancestral home. Today, Their village on stilts stands empty, slowly being reclaimed by the brutal Arctic weather. It's a reminder that sometimes islands aren't abandoned by choice, they're abandoned by force. But some islands have stories so bizarre, they sound like they came straight out of a thriller movie. Next is Clipperton Island has the most disturbing story on this list. In 1917, when supply ships stopped coming during the Mexican Revolution, one by one, people died of starvation until only the island's lighthouse keeper, the named Victoriano Alvarez, and a few women and children remained. Victoriano Alvarez declared himself king and started enslaving and murdering the remaining colonists. You might be surprised to learn that his reign of terror lasted 2 years, until he was killed by the surviving women and children. They were rescued just days later by a passing American ship. Talk about the ultimate survival story. Check out this amazing fact. Holland Island in Maryland's Chesapeake Bay literally vanished into the ocean. Once home to 400 people, this thriving fishing community started sinking in 1914. Here's what's incredible. Residents actually tried to save their homes by building stone walls around the entire island. But Mother Nature always wins and cannot be beat. And by 1918, the last family gave up and fled. Today, you can still see the ghostly remains of houses slowly being swallowed by the rising waters. It's like watching real Atlantis happen in slow motion. Then Spinalonga, Greece, holds one of medicine's most important chapters. From 1903 to 1957, this tiny island served as Europe's last leper colony. Here's an interesting fact. When scientists discovered a cure for leprosy in the 1940s, the island's population rapidly decreased. The last resident, a kind priest, didn't leave until 1962. Today, it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site that reminds us how quickly medical breakthroughs can transform lives, from hopeless exile to complete abandonment in just a few decades. Our 10th stop. For 3,000 years, Sudan's Swakan Island was the crown jewel of Red Sea trade. Pharaoh Ramses III's explorers first mapped it in the 11th century BCE, and it became so wealthy that medieval travelers called it a symbol of ultimate luxury. Every building was made from glimmering coral with intricate carvings, but by the 1920s, nearby Port Sudan stole all the business, and this ancient wonder city was abandoned to crumble into beautiful ruins. Before we wrap up, here are some islands to really need to know. The 11th island is Ross Island in India, destroyed by an earthquake, then abandoned by Japanese forces in World War II. And our final island, No Man's Land, in Massachusetts, turned into a bombing range and is now too toxic for humans, but perfect for migrating birds. These 12 abandoned islands that prove paradise can turn into a nightmare faster than you'd ever imagine. From snake-infested death traps to nuclear wastelands, from plague graveyards to dictator kingdoms, these abandoned islands remind us that human civilization is more fragile than we think. Some were abandoned by choice, others by force, and some by circumstances beyond anyone's control. But they all share one thing. They're living proof that even in our modern world, there are still places too dangerous, too haunted, or too toxic for human life. Which abandoned island shocked you the most? Drop a comment below and let me know. If you loved this deep dive into the world's most mysterious places, absolutely crush that like button, subscribe for more mind-blowing facts, and ring that notification bell because, trust me, you don't want to miss what we're uncovering next. Until next time, keep questioning everything.